Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is the Thousand Year Reich series. We are getting ready to go into June of 1942, and the weather is fair everywhere, so there will be 4 fair weather turns in a row. And let's just go ahead and get started. I have no idea why I'm over here. So no declarations of war. Oh, that's turn track. We go into economies. Germany is going to actually be at 30. Russia is at 22. They have 7 plus 2 is 9, 10, 11. So 11 times 2 is 22. Lots of production points for the Russians. Then he does this. I'm not sure if he gives anything to his allies. Nope, we go right into strategic warfare for the Soviets. The Soviets are at plus 3. Germans are at plus 2. Do we have anything to play? I have partisans. I had nothing for the West. I thought about it. I think I said I didn't bother to play it because I wanted to have that. I wanted to have Partisans Ultra kind of combination. I figured if I just took one, he'd get it right back, and I'd lose the Partisans for a while. So I figured to hang on to him for another turn. He rolled a 4, and I rolled a 9. So it actually worked out for me that I got one from him. Of course, now he's going to come back with a plus 5 to a plus 2. And he rolls a 10, so even at a plus 2, there's nothing I can do. So I lose the factory. And he's back down to his full count again. Now he's going to pick up the Italian garrison unit here that he put in Brindisi. He brings it up next to Copenhagen. He's going to replace it next turn with the German infantry, I guess. Strategic movement for the Soviets. I don't think I had one. So we're going into Axis operations. It's fair weather, so life is bad for me. So he has his airplane there. Go after one of mine. He rolled a 3. He did his job, but I couldn't roll high enough to only take one sortie, so I'm taken down. And then he has the Italian aircraft take care of the other one. Then the armored unit attacks the shock army. I don't have any airplanes, so he's plus 3. He's got 7 movement points left. Throws in an airplane, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm plus 2 because I'm shock and fair. So elite and plus 1 for shock. And he throws in an airplane so that he's plus 5 to my plus 2. He rolled a 10. I rolled a 3. So I flipped and retreated. And he decides to attack this way for 4 movement points across the mountains against the other shock army. So I'm still plus 2, but now he's only going to be, when he throws in his airplane, plus 4. And he rolls a 5, and I roll a 6. So, and he doesn't have any movement points left to go anywhere. He can't take Granzi at this point. Then he's going to move the Romanian in to take Granzi and attack at 0 to 0, because I'm plus 2 for shock and elite and minus 2 for being flipped. He rolls a 6. I roll a 5. And then he moves this armored down to here to attack. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 3 movement points left. I think he's attacking the infantry unit. And he gets he got an 8, and I managed to roll a 1. And you'll notice I'm not using my armor here. I'm saving it for a counterattack. He was talking about not collapsing Russia, just trying to leave me like at 1 will point or 2 will points, and just keep all this ground, so make me have to attack a very long way back, which is not a bad idea. But I'm not sure what he's doing. And then he's attacking me again. He rolls another 8. I roll a 1 minus 2, so I'm eliminated. He takes Tiflis. So now I've lost 2, 4, 5 will points in a factory. So I'm down to 3. He attacks there. He rolled 3 minus 1 is a 2, so that doesn't do anything. Takes this German infantry, moves it down here to keep his armor in supply. Moves the Turk over. Goes ahead and attacks my infantry unit. So he's a -1, and I'm a 1. So he rolled a 4, -1 is a 3. I rolled a 1, so he flipped me. And moved the Turk down there. He wanted to make sure he got that move in before he inadvertently spent all his Turkish points to move his guys. And he moves this Italian infantry out and comes down here. And what did he do? Oh, he moves this German infantry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And puts that Italian there so I can't come across on the to do things to the Yugoslav, bottling me up in the Eastern Urals box. Central Russia box, I guess I should say. Then he has his Panzer attack. And this is something I didn't really understand, but that's what he did. Started off at +3 to my 0. He's going to throw in an airplane, and I'm going to throw in an airplane. So we're both 0 to 0. He rolls a 1, I roll a 1. He rolled a 1. I'm like, oh, I could roll a 6 and get 3 sorties on him, and I rolled a 1. So we each took a sortie. He went up to +5. I'm at +2. He rolls a 9. I roll a 6. That's enough to make me retreat. He takes Vologda, which is another 2 will points. Then he attacks back at this guy. He's at +3. So he rolled a 5 and I rolled a 5. I think he attacked again. And I decided not to defend this time. He rolled a 5 and I got a 3, so I was retreated. Then he attacked up here. Now, this is something I didn't understand. If he really wanted to leave me hanging, I'm down to 1 will point. And for some reason, he wanted to try and get this German unit out of being sort of semi-surrounded or whatever. So he attacked. And he attacked the 6th Army here. And I was looking at this and I went, you know, it's actually almost a backstab on him for me to actually be collapsed because I get all this territory back that he's conquered. And I wanted to save my armored units to just try and do a massive attacks everywhere I could with armor and air and whatnot. It's like, if you really didn't collapse me, I wouldn't care. So I went here. He has 5 movement points left. He's starting off at +1 to 0. He throws in his aircraft. So he goes up to 3, +3 to 0. He rolled a 6, +3 is a 9. I rolled a 1. Combat results table. That's a DE. So he kills a Russian army. Still has 5 movement points left. And everything stops. Because my will just fell to 0, so I am collapsed. So I start taking off inverted units. I got rid of the forts. Had to get rid of all my airplanes. Flipped all my units. Then we just started taking off German control markers, put one where it belonged. And then it was, here go the miners, the Yugoslavs. Just kind of grabs. Now he's grabbing his Yugoslavs, I think. First he grabs up all his Italians and says, okay, I can repatriate them into home country, so he's putting them in Italy. And he also threw one down in Tobruk because he's allowed to. And next, I think he grabs up the Romanians, and they have to go back into Romania. So you can't put them there. They have to go by cities. So that's still Russia. That's occupied Russia. It's not Romania. And then Yugoslavs all get picked up and get thrown back into Yugoslavia. They're all adjacent to cities. And then now I think he's grabbing Germans. Grabbed all his German aircraft first, and stacked up all his German armies, just stacking up, getting ready to do all of his repatriation. And then he starts dropping them all over the place. That was my guy in Viborg, I think, and that was the guy that was in Sevastopol. And he said, no, that's Russia. You don't get to repatriate him. I was like, oh, okay, I'll put him back. And then that was it. I was like, that guy doesn't get to be repatriated because he's in occupied Russia. So he doesn't get to move back into Finland. So... And then he's at 99 will. Because he was at 83 and he just got 16 for Russia. He's at 99 will. You can't get any higher. He goes ahead and plays his unconditional, his unrestricted pro marker. Of course, he drops it in Spain. Then he starts moving Finns. He moves the one Yugoslav that wasn't repatriated and starts heading back towards Russia. Goes ahead and starts marching the Turks away. And he said, you already spent your Turkish points. He didn't have any points left for the Turks. The only thing he's got left is a Yugoslavian point, which he can't use because all his guys got repatriated. And the Germans are down to 20. 21. And he's got lots of airplanes in the convoy to do. So we're in the Western action subphase. So I go ahead and I do something here. What am I doing? Oh, I picked up. Did I do this right? I started to move that guy to the western desert to that box, and I said, I can't do that. He reminds me of that in a minute. I'm not allowed to leave North America box, like I just did. He's actually doing his replacements, and here in a minute you're going to see me have to retrace my stuff. As I say, I was not allowed to leave, so I couldn't have spent those points that way. So instead I just bring over I don't know what I do. Now we're doing the Soviets. All they can do is replenish, so that's what they do. And we're in the diplomacy phase. and he pulled a pro marker. Didn't see that. I'm sorry. I'm going a little bit fast through the diplomacy phase. So with Russia done, we've got. So there you have it. We're at diplomacy phase. He pulls a pro marker. Put that on the turn track. He activates Spain immediately and starts setting up the Spanish. And then it's my diplomacy phase. I had the British paying for this, but the U.S. pays at this point, so I was like, I just wasn't paying attention. Pulled a no event for the West. And if I had any brains, I would have put the 2 no events in, but I just figured I'd go ahead and pull for the Russians. Oh no, I did. I put 2 no events in there because I have to try and dilute the cup as much as I can. And then we went back to. I forgot to do the Americans again. And when we realized I didn't have to pay for it, I went ahead and bought Bomber Command instead of the fighter, because I can just leave it sitting in Eastern North America for a while as my home garrison airplane. Oh, we went right by. Okay, and then we're into. I think I had to stop him here. I was like, you gotta do things in the right order here, because we got stuff on the cards that I had to pick up for July. Okay, now we're in July. There's no weather. We're just doing economies, which is pretty fast. Russia's at 15 because she has 7, 8, 9 plus 6, and I only get the number of factories. I don't get to double them. Western allies are up to 12. The UK, Germany's at 30. And I don't think she gave anything to anybody this turn. So, we went through the there is no Soviet one, only the West. So he is +5 to my +2. I went ahead and threw the Ultra. He rolled a 5 plus 5, makes him a 5. I rolled an 8, which was just enough to chip him. He was unhappy. I was like, yeah, so. And then it comes back in 4 turns. Strategic movement. He's going to pick up an armored unit that he had to repatriate last turn and send it to Madrid to bolster the Spanish. Strategic movement for the Soviets. I went and I grabbed my 2-point guy and moved him up, to the front line. And in the Spanish, we're into operations phase. The Spanish decide that it's time to take Gibraltar. So they are 1, 2, 3, 4, -1. Should be +3. I think we got this wrong. He's really supposed to be +3. I went in and threw a tank, so I'd be +1. Should be +3 to +1. He rolled a 6 +1 is a 7. If it had been +3, it would have been a 9. Halved to 4.5 becomes a 5. And then I rolled a 5. So even though we thought it was a 7, even if it had been a 9, the 5 would have prevented the thing. Because Tangiers isn't mine, I have no retreat route, I'm isolated and sitting in Gibraltar. Then started to move that airplane down. I said, you can't go there. Spain is not part of your Western garrisoning. So I went, fine, I'll bring this one to here and then to here. So that's my Western garrison. Then I'll bring this guy down here. 1, 2. So I have an airplane. And then this infantry started marching towards Spain. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Marching to the west. Armor. Marching to the west. marching to the west. Airplane. Going up north to keep me honest. He's thinking I'm going to attack Spain, I think. Or Sweden. And could he go there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Use an airplane in the south still. Where's his other airplane? I think he has one too many airplanes going to the west. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 in Spain. Oh, there it is in Sevastopol. There's the 6th one. I was going to say, should have 6 airplanes. Just couldn't find him there for a minute. Sorry about that. Next up, he's marching infantry to the east. And now he's just doing his supply for his battalion. He started to do supply and said, wait a minute, I'm not done. I gotta move Romanian, I gotta move Yugoslavians. He starts moving a Finn. And then he marches this Turk. Oops, I hit back. Marches this Turk. Marches this Turk over here to Sri Lanka. And marches this Turk. And now I believe he's in his subphase, his supply subphase, so does his thing for his Italians. Now we're in the British phase. I moved the guy from Western Indian Ocean to the Arabian Sea. And then I picked him up, went 3, 6, 9. Just stayed in the North Atlantic. And now I do shenanigans to foil his plans. So I move, the guy in Gibraltar goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and captures that. Takes Spain's will down 1 and reduces their factories by 1, so they will only get 2 production points next turn. And then I spent 2 and brought Force H, the convoy, and the Western Desert Force, and landed them in Gibraltar. And then we ended our move in Tangier. So even if he should take Gibraltar, the guy in Tangier would still be sitting there to prevent the Italian fleet from just sailing. He would have to stop in Gibraltar, taking extra sorties. And then I could intercept it with Force H, which was the idea. Because Force H can actually fight off a German airplane for a little bit. And then I was done, and I think I'm doing my supply phase. So I supply the Western Desert Force and not the garrison. I think I do the Americans. Did I move the Americans up? I don't think I remember. Don't think I remember. So the Russians go marching back up to the border. This guy goes marching down this way. Yeah. Got back my supply there. We forgot to do that. Basically, I'm getting these guys all on rail lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He comes up there. I was just making sure I got everybody in the right order, and I was done. Now supply phase replacements for the Axis. Where am I doing? Should be back 1. The Axis. Where are we going here? I know the Axis did some replacements here, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. There we are. Replacements for the Axis. So he gets his airplanes. It's 4 airplanes. I think he does his convoy too. He does the Italian air. And his convoy. The Western Allies. Place these guys down here so that they're at full strength. In the upgrades phase, we did not have any official upgrades. The Russians have an upgrade, but they're not going to spend it until much later when they come back in the war. And he built an airplane, or I think he forgot to do his airplane or something. And then I'm building my shock and armors. We go to diplomacy phase. He pulled a pro marker again. As you can see, he pulls another pro marker. He's loaded with pro markers in the cup. And so he goes ahead and places it in Sweden because Finland is active and has a border. And then what did I do? Yeah, the West. So the West went ahead and said, we're going to throw a political success in there, trying to give the Russians a chance to pull a political success and get rid of Sweden. Russians pulled a no event, so it didn't work. And now we're doing. Forgot to do my American replacements. And we're at end of turn phase, so stuff happens again. I get a Urals factory. Get some stuff to build. So the Russians are now up to 8 Urals factories, plus 2, so they're at 10, 16. It's respectable. And then I also got an upgrade. So now we're into the August turn. There's no weather phase, no declarations of war. We're just going into... He does have submarines again. I don't have anything for the West. I do have partisans for the Soviets. But I can't play them. So he goes... I have 12 again. I have 16 with the Russians. He has 28. Why is he at 29? 15 minus 2 is 13, plus 1 is 14. He should be at 28. Damn. So we're going into... he's at plus 5, I'm at plus 2. He goes ahead and plays his submarines. I have no reason why, no idea why, but he does. There, we got that straightened out. He gave a point to somebody, Spain, I think. And this is where we're wrong. Spain should only have 2. I let him have 3. He should have only had 2. Because Spain only starts... Spain starts with... Oh, starts with 4. I'm sorry. Spain starts with 4 production, but he gave 1 to the Spanish because I had taken 1 away. He wanted to be able to move Spaniards. So he rolled a 7 and I rolled a 7, so he got back his factory, and I was halved to 3.5 was a 4, so I was actually losing a factory. Again, I'm 1 factory off because I missed 1 when I was successful. I should have dropped myself down 1. I really should be at 5 now, not 6, but too far in the past to correct at this point. Strategic movement. I think he's picking up another armored unit. Nope. Yeah, pretty sure it's going into Spain. Sends another one into Spain. Did not have 1 for the West. Soviets. Pick up somebody on the rail and just go ahead and move them up to the front line. Germans are now in their action subphase. This airplane goes flying. 1. He's trying to figure out where he wants to be. He has to fly around Vichy. And this airplane, I don't know what he's doing. Oh, he flew it down on top of his armored unit, so he has 3 sorties. This airplane goes after Force H. And I was like, okay. So he's a +3 and I'm a +4. He rolled a 1 + 3 is a 4. I rolled an 8. So he took 2 sorties. I took 1. And I'm not sure if he goes after me again. Yeah, he goes after me again at +1. He rolls a 4. I rolled a 5. So he's up to 3. My 2. And then he's at 0, and I'm at +2. He rolls a 3. I rolled a 3. I'm rolling terrible, as usual. So I'm at +1. So he's using the other guy in the south now. He rolls a 3, and I rolled a 4. So I'm at 4. And I think he comes after me again with one of them. -1, he rolls a 5. I roll a 2, so I'm up to 6. It's just terrible. It's just horrible the way I roll. So he gets the Spaniard out of the way. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then attacks with just the armored and 1 Spaniard. So he's at +3, +1 is 4, -1 for the city. And he throws in his airplane. He's not +6, is he? 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he's +6. So he rolls a 5 + 6 is an 11. Half to 5.5 becomes a 6. And I'm at +3, so anything but a 1. I rolled a 9, so I said, no, not today. And so the German infantry comes marching down. Spaniards are leaving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. He went there. This German aircraft flies to here. And I think he moves his German low supply unit up. And moves that German unit to the line. German unit to the line. German unit to the line. Remaining unit down to the peninsula. Alarms keep going off on me. Moves another Finn to the north. I'm not quite sure why he keeps moving them there, but he can't go into Sweden unless I conquer it, so it's kind of seems like a waste of time. And then he moves a Yugoslavian in, and moves another Yugoslavian. And the Turks come marching down to the south, and this Turk's marching over to the other side, and then this garrison unit's moving over here. Since he's got more than a year before the Russians can even threaten, it's not till December of 43. If you look at the turn track, the Moscow Treaty doesn't get rolled for till December of 43 turns, so he's got plenty of time to go playing around with the Turks and still get them all back to defend this border. And the German aircraft, he flies up into the Netherlands. Can he reach the Netherlands from there? That's interesting. I'm not sure that he could. Yeah, he could, because he was right here. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he just makes it. Just makes it. So this German says, I don't need to be here anymore. I'll go up to that line. This German goes up here. And he's trying to figure this German comes back down south. I don't know why. This German heads off to the west. And then he's doing his supply of his 2 Italian units. And I think that's all he had to do. And we're into the western supply phase. I don't think I had any moves. I mean, to me it was like there's nothing really to do here. So I just said no thank you. I was supplying the Gibraltar unit from this convoy. And he said, nope, I'm not going to intercept it. I said, I'm supplying the garrison unit. He said, nope, not intercepting it. And then the Soviets are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This guy moves up to there. This guy. What are we doing? I'm not sure what he was doing there. Just moving guys up to the front lines. You'll notice I'm leaving 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the back because I'll get 9 upgrades. I don't need to bring these guys up to full strength. They can all be used to replace a frontline infantry unit with guards units. And I have to have, I have to have 9 extra guys, so I figured, why even bother moving them? Just leave them there. So that's why they're sitting back there. And we're in the replacement phase for the Axis. So airplanes all get replenished. It's convoys, Italian air. Now we're in the west. And what I did is I only supplied the BEF and I let both of these guys go to low supply because I figured, what the heck? If Sweden comes in, I'm lost in Norway anyway. Those guys might as well go to low supply, and I'll just move the American fleet over and pick up the guy in Stavanger and get the hell out of Dodge. So we're doing my replacements for the West. And for the British. And we are done for this. Oh, we're doing the Soviet replacements. I think I'm just flipping guys over. And then we're at the end of turn phase. Oh no, we're in the mobilization phase. So I get to build my task force and my American convoy. Soviets, I don't think they built an armored unit and 3 infantry units, or a couple of infantry units anyway. Now we're into the diplomacy phase. So the Germans spend their 5. And he pulled a political success. He couldn't pull his pro marker. He had to pull the success marker. So, of course, he's going to take Sweden. And then it's the West. We go ahead and pull, get a no event. And I pulled with the Russians. Oh no, I was looking here for the Russians to see how many he had left. And it's like 1 political failure, which can't hurt the Russians because they have nothing that can be given to the Germans. And 1, 2, 3, 4 successes. So put them back in the cup. And I'm not sure, but I think I might have. I guess I didn't pull. I don't know what I did. So I didn't pull with the Soviets. So we're at the end of turn phase. Getting stuff. The Russians get another tank. Germans get their ground support back, and then we are in variable entry for September, so we go there, put the things in the turn. He only had one guy. He rolled 3 turns, so you'll see him in December. The Russians had a huge stack, and of course, 5, 6. Then they got 4 low numbers, and then 3 high numbers, and another low number. Not too bad of a split this time, but it's way too late. So we just start placing stuff. That one goes 6, 5, 2, 2, 1. And I can't remember what the other numbers were. So that's where they all end up. And we are in September. And we're September, so there's none of that. It's just going to be the weather. No, it's not the weather. We know what the weather is because it's September. So we skip through the weather phase, we get to the declare war phase, and that's going to be the end of this turn. I think I played around some looking at stuff. Oh, I went back to the upgrade phase. I said I forgot. The British actually have an upgrade. He said, go ahead, take it. And then that's the end of the log file. So now the second army is in Gibraltar, so it'll always be a 3. I won't run out of ground support markers for it, tanks markers. They can be used for those garrisons up in Norway to slow the Swedes down so I can get the BEF out and get it away. The most important thing that came off the turn track last turn was the American surprise attack marker. So now I can do an invasion back into Britain or maybe a surprise invasion somewhere else, but I at least now can start trying to come back into the war. Anyway, that's summer 42, pretty much. April, what was it, May? It was June, July, and August. He really wanted to try and keep all that land in Russia, but he should have, if he was going to do that, he needed to not be so aggressive. I understood him trying to break the Caucasus line a little bit, but for me, it was like, if you're going to do that, basically the Caucasus, having taken Granzi, is like the Caucasus mountain line works for you just as well as it does for me. And then up in the north, he should have just let that German go to low supply and then maybe no supply the following turn. So he could just take it off and rebuild it and just have a line along the sphere and around the rivers outside of Vologda and seal me off on all the eastern edges and then the 2 bulges, the bulge in the center. He could have held that line, well into late 43 when I probably would have finally, gotten a lucky die roll and started to push him back. So he could have been well, maybe on the Reserve. Let me see here. Let's go over to Russia. Zoom out a bit. If he'd have done that and held me off, my estimation on it is that by the end of 43, he would have been somewhere along the Don to Moscow and up through Kalinin, Bologoye, and Volkhov, which is a good 8 to 10 hexes ahead of where he's going to be when 44 strikes. So I think he gave up a lot of territory. By the same token, he's got free reign here for a year, so he's most likely going to be able to, sooner or later he's going to false Gibraltar. I don't know when he gets his tank back or his artillery. I think he has his artillery sitting around. So he has his heavy artillery. He actually has his surprise attack marker if he wanted to waste it down there. He might save that for his own, get the Italian fleet around and do his own invasions, of Ireland or something. Who knows? But, he's most likely going to take Gibraltar at some point. He's got enough pro markers and things in the cup that he could either get Vichy France or maybe even try to go get French North Africa so he can come around from this side and take Tangier back away from me as well. So he has, good 15 turns before I can do anything about it from the east. He may be able to, if he can get Gibraltar quickly, he might be able to actually make a fight for, a decent fight for southern England. Because if he can get Gibraltar, he can get the Italian fleet over here to help supply him, and that'll be a nightmare for me. from the West standpoint. So it's a little bit of a race. I'm trying to hold Gibraltar for that very reason. I need to contain the Italian fleet. Maintain the Italian fleet until I've pretty much reconquered all of Britain. Then I have an island base to defy him from, so to speak. Don't know that I'm going to get very far, but we want to play it out to see how far I can get. So that's where we are, end of August 1942. And as usual, I'm Gen608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. If you hit that like button, that will help the algorithms in YouTube to keep it up here for people to find when they're searching for videos on unconditional surrender. And until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.